Okay, we are recording and we are live on YouTube. Good morning,
That's
Helen.
great. Good morning.
How'd you sleep?
I did pretty good last night. Got to bed on time, and then my cat woke me up at 5 a.m. So, some good, some bad, but overall, I'm feeling pretty rested. How about you?
Excellent. I hold on one second. I don't know what happened, but again, I think we're good on YouTube. Can you see if we're on live still? And I
Uh,
did
it
mute.
it is gonna go in a second. Let's see.
It says it's still live. So I'm going to keep talking. I slept
Yep.
really well last night, but the night before, which I know was part of the solar eclipse and the full moon and all of that, I had the most bizarre dreams, and it was one of those where you're waking up and you can remember all of it in vivid detail with the emotions and all of it. So last night, I think I just was like recovering from all of that processing I must have been doing the night before.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about time and how it affects our sleep and our lifestyle.
Yes, and there's some
Yes.
phrases that we can talk about, or just use. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I do. And as we're sharing these with everybody, just notice how you feel when we say these phrases that we refer to with time. So I don't have time.
I have all the time in the world.
That takes too much time.
Oh, it was as if time stood still.
My flight is on time.
Time just flew by.
You're going to be late.
Oof, I lost track of time.
Time is money.
Time just passes by.
Mhm. What a waste of time.
It was the best time of my life.
Wow, those do feel different. Even the
Yeah.
difference of my flight is on time and that's a waste of time. Interesting, right? And we are so ruled by the clock. And we're going to share a little bit about the two different types of time. My name is Barbara Bottolotti, and I'm the author of best-selling book, Sleep Blissful, Natural Ways to Fall Asleep, Stay Asleep, and Wake Refreshed. And
I'm Helen Cernette. I am the founder and host of the Sleep Lists podcast, which is an audio tool to help you get to sleep. We're starting our fourth season coming up in a couple weeks, so I'm very excited about that. Tune in at sleeplist.com.
yeah, so do you want to go ahead and start us off? We're also the Sleepless Sisters in Seattle. We're both in Seattle, and it's cloudy and rainy here, and we do sleep here. But
We actually sleep a lot. Like the fact that like it's dark a lot of times. I guess in the summertime maybe, but no, we're the sleeping in Seattle sisters. We like sleeping a lot.
well, tell us about Kairos. Tell us how it all
Yeah,
started.
so before our modern lives, there was Kairos time, and this is when we went about our lives and organized ourselves based on time of day, where the sun was in the sky, where the stars were at night, what the phases of the moon were, how the animals were behaving near us. And we sort of moved about our existence in relationship with the seasons
Nature
and the day and nature. Yeah.
and nature, right? Yeah, it was a beautiful thing, and some of us still do that. And then around the 6th century BC, before the Common Era is sometimes known, the Greeks established chronos, or what we think of as chronological time. And that was with father time starting to move the zodiac wheel. So there is a lot of history of how that came about, and it's fascinating to read about if you're interested in going a little bit further. But here we are, 3,000 years later, and we've kind of moved away from Kairos time where we're in that natural rhythm and we're a little bit too much in our Chronos time, which is important because we need that for structure, just like having those schedules and being able to meet with somebody at a certain time and being able to have spring break and all the different ways that we can structure our lives. I mean, if we didn't have Chronos time, how would we regulate stoplights and other ways of being in relationship to one another as well as structures in our lifestyle?
Yeah, so
So,
when
yeah,
we were planning this, we were talking about how like we're never going to get away from where our society has taken chronological time. Like that grid is laid out and set, and we exist in communion with it. Like it exists. And so we're not saying that that you need to like unplug for the rest of your life. The only way that you can ever sleep well is if you go live off the grid in a cabin in the woods. That's not what we're saying, although if you want to do that, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's not what you have to do. We're talking about weaving back
balance.
in that idea of balance, exactly, over the grid, the very strict grid of chronological time, thinking about that sort of natural sequence of time and how you can, as the kids say, touch a little grass and get outside and maybe be more aligned with those rhythms and listen to your own body's rhythms because our circadian rhythms are part of Kairos time.
And also, that is a big regulator for our sleep.
Yeah.
So, so as the daylight, I mean, just like we want you to be able to open your eyes and allow the light to come in to the pupil, which then turns off the melatonin and boosts the serotonin. And the same is true at night. So the more that you can be in Kairos time and in those rhythms of sunlight, or at night when it's starting to be dusk, that is helping your body to move into the regulation it needs with the chemicals that have been magically provided for you so that you can receive the restorative sleep. And so it's just moving into that awareness. And
Do you
we're
dim
going to
your
share.
lights at night? I dim my lights at night. Do you do
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
If I can. I mean, there's a few lights that have the dimmer switch.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's very comforting to me to actually turn the inside lights down or turn on lamps instead of overhead lights. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we do that as
Absolutely.
well.
Right. Because in Kairos time, or
Yeah.
really only less than 150 years ago, we didn't have the ability to have indoor lighting other than candlelight or a fire or something like that. So
Yep.
yeah, it's really quite interesting how Chronos time has taken on more. And the thing is that our brains and bodies have not caught up to that type of evolution. So we
No.
really need to honor this Kairos time. We're going to share a couple of ways to do that. One is that for me, before the cell phone, I was so structured. It was embarrassing now that I think back, but my mother would say to me, "Well, do you have time for me between like 10:50 and 11:05?" I mean, I was that structured in my time. Like everything had like 10-minute increments. It was horrible. And then I realized this is not healthy. And of course, only your mother would put it in such a way that would like bring your attention to it, any loved one. And so one of the things I started to do is one day a month, I would just have nothing scheduled. And then also I started to practice taking off my watch and covering all the clocks in my house. And I only did a couple afternoons, and then I finally got to the point where I would do at least one day a month, if not a week.
That's amazing. To have a
It was
week?
really good.
To have a
Well,
week?
one day a
That's
week, one day a
yeah.
week.
Oh, one day a week. Okay.
Yeah, let's not push it. Um,
Well, I
but
mean, when we go on vacation sometimes, if it's a real restful vacation, my daughter has a bestie at school and her family goes they do like a camping trip by a lake in Eastern Washington. Anyway, they invited Wade to go and they got back and we are like, "What'd you do?" And she was like, "Nothing." And they completely shut off. Like, they have meals when they wake up, but they wake up when, the sun is shining into the camper, to go to sleep when the campfire burns out at night. They were just, playing by the lake and enjoying the time there. Like they didn't really do a lot of like activities elsewhere. Like they'd go hiking and stuff, but it wasn't like we got to do this today and this tomorrow and we made an appointment for this. None of that. They just chill out. And I was like, ooh, that sounds nice. Like,
I would love for people to put in the comments if they've ever had like a trip like that, like a
yeah,
vacation, or if they even just have that one day a week where they don't schedule anything. They get up when they want to get up, they eat when they want to eat. So, yeah, one of the other things that we want to talk about is being in tune with your body and
yes.
listening to that. And I think that camping trip was a perfect example of that.
Yeah. And on the note of listening to your body, I think that when you're scheduled so tightly and you spend all this time in your mind setting out your day and knowing exactly what it is you're going to do, it's actually a little exhausting for your body to keep up with that. And like it's a recipe to burn out for me anyway. Like I know that even though it's hard, like sometimes I really like to schedule everything. It's really hard. I can't do it all the time. I have to schedule, and if I do it, I have to schedule in time where there's nothing, where it's like do what you want
Yeah.
time.
Do what you feel time.
Yeah.
Like what is your body requiring? Yes, I think that is such a valuable tip. Like that would be a really great practice. Maybe it's a day where you take off your clocks and turn off your phone. Maybe it's a detox that way. Maybe it's planning a vacation where you don't, you do nothing. Or maybe it's like what you said, where you schedule in blocks. One, it's nice to have that wiggle room because
Mm-hmm.
things don't always go as scheduled and as scheduled, right? Or there's that
Mm-mm.
extra little bit of work that you want to get done, or there's maybe going for a walk or something. So I love that. I need to be better at that, as scheduling in more of an open block.
Yeah, listening to your body. One of the things that I started doing since I've been 43 or so, with my workouts is I schedule the time to work out, but I give myself a check-in beforehand. Am I feeling like pumping a lot of iron and working really hard in like monster mode? Or am I feeling like it's a miracle that I'm showing up for this and haven't like decided not to do it? And so do I just need to do like 7 yoga poses in this 45 minutes that I've done and really get a little bit more restorative action out of my physical exercise? So
Yes.
I
And
have the time
breathing.
planned to do the exercise. It happens every day. Like it happens when it's scheduled, but I'm not forcing myself to work harder than my body's ready
Oh,
to.
love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Yes. So everybody, give us some feedback on what tip you're going to practice. It could be that you do have something scheduled and you tune into what that activity or intensity will be. You do have a vacation scheduled. Is there something where you're going to make sure you have one day in the Disney life that you're going to have a pool and nothing planned, right? So let's hear from all of you. I want to be able to share too what's happening for us that people can continue to share with us
Yeah,
and participate.
one of our commenters says they haven't been able to do a detox like that yet. And like we just encourage you to try it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to do something for your sleep. That's what's going to be amazing. Whether you're focused on how you're acting during the day and in being in balance with your body, it's going to help your sleep.
And also when you do that, you start to really go into your true nature. Your essence
Mhm.
is Kairos time. You are nature.
Yeah.
And your body and brain are were created to operate that way. And again, we're not saying don't use chronological time and chronos time, but to tune more into your nature. So when you do the digital detox, start to notice your own internal cues.
Yeah.
And there might be some things that come up like anxiety or, right. And it just is, again, like you're just playing with it, you're entertaining it. And it could just be an hour every day or an hour one day a week, little teeny detox, right? We don't want a detox to go into crisis.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
Because I've done that before too, where it's like,
right.
okay, too much fasting and now I'm like in crisis mode because too much has arisen from it. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
and
and you
I love the little bit by little bit at a because you don't. So one of the things that I noticed since I've had my burnout period and was really working on recovery was tired used to be when I could not keep my eyes open or function. And that was like I would push myself until that point where I basically passed out, right? Like where you just like your head. And I used to think, oh, that's healthy sleep. My head hits the pillow and I'm asleep. No, your body actually needs a little bit of time to 10 minutes, 15. You're not supposed to sit, toss and turn forever, but it does need a little bit of like cool down time or like transition time, get that melatonin going, doing its stuff, whatever. But what I've noticed now is tired is when I first start itching my eyes. Like I've noticed as I've slowly been more in tune with what my body needs and what I need health wise because I had such a health crisis. I'm able to, like, as I slowly become more aware, I'm able to catch those signs at the very start rather than, when it speeds past all the way over here and I'm like passing out, having crisis. You find that you can figure it out a little bit easier over time.
right. And you're also becoming more of the authority of your body and your life versus something else externally like a clock running the show.
Yeah.
So, right, or more work to do, or one more load of laundry to do, right? It's like that will always be there, and that we will always be driven by the clock to some shape or form, whether it's a sundial or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but let's tune more into ourselves and have that balance for our lives, and also to really honor this beautiful body and life that we have, as well as getting a good night's sleep.
So that's our big challenge to everyone is to just
Yeah.
do something, one thing where you're giving yourself, even if it's like we said, just a little hour of time, however you can work in an ability in your life to just take a step back, listen to your body, and figure out what it needs at that moment. And it might be hard at first, but if you do it consistently, um, you'll start to
It's
be able to
like
help
anything.
yourself. Yeah.
It's easier. Yeah.
Can you believe it's
So
10:20 already?
I
It's already 20 past.
So I'm doing this Sunday, April 14th at 3 o'clock, a 2 hour workshop. It's hybrid. So it'll be at Stargazers in Bellevue, Washington, and near Seattle. And then also it's on Zoom. So it's at Stargazers Soul Gallery. I'll put the link in there, and it's from 3 to 5 Pacific time.
Wow. That sounds like
And
it's
what are
going to be
you up to?
amazing.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, we're going to do yoga, nidra, and the vagus nerve, and it's going to be very interactive.
that's super cool. I am working on season 4. So the biggest thing for me is to get folks to subscribe and tune into Sleep Lists podcast so that you hear our newest episodes. And just to let you know, we're going to have both Sleep Lists episodes where I give you an actual list this coming season and episodes where you learn a little bit about tips and tricks and facts about sleep. So I think we're calling it tips, truths, and tools for sleep.
Nice. Love it. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody, for tuning in and subscribing and supporting us in any way that you feel guided to do so, and sharing with maybe your teams and tribes. And I will see you next month. We're going to actually be doing this live May 21st. And
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about this coming month.
May is Better Sleep Month. Did you know that? I was just finding it out. So we're going
Of
to
course
talk
it
about
is.
yeah, we're going to talk about why sleep is so awesome for us in all the ways. So I think we talked about it being for your personal, professional, and physical wellness.
Yeah. All right. We will see you all next month. Share your comments, take off your clocks and watches, and turn off your phones for a minute.